Welcome to the KayFabe Smark podcast with Eric Todd and Ryan Rampa, your smart mark source for news and opinions on the world of professional wrestling.
Hey, this is the KayFabe Smark podcast. This is episode 29. We're coming at you live on YouTube, December 10th. You audio listeners are getting this on December 11th. Friday the 11th, KayFabe Smark podcast coming at you, episode 29. We're going to talk NXT War Games. We're going to talk a little bit about AEW. But first, let's check in with our boy Eric and see what's happening in his world. Eric, what's up?
What's happening, Brian? I had to go out this week and go to the doctor. I had to venture out into the wonderful world of COVID-19.
Oh, wonderful. I hope everything is well in your world and you got out of the doctor's office cleanly.
Well, yeah. I'm not sure if I told the listeners, but on Thanksgiving, my son attempted to crack my back.
Oh,
and,
I heard this, yes.
Instead, ended up basically doing a double stomp on my upper back and fucking up my ribs a little bit there. And they've been in severe pain for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks will be today. Went and checked that out, and I don't know if it popped out of place and popped back in, but I don't know. Currently, it's just a bunch of inflamed cartilage and whatnot around it. So everything's good. I'll be okay. I'm going to survive.
All right. Well, no more coup de grace to crack old dad's back, and we'll just keep on living the good life. Right.
That's about it for me. Anything new going on with you, Mr. Rampa?
I am sorting old 1990s to early 2000s wrestling, guys. All these Hasbros from back in the day. Like, here's I think this was Smash. Or no, that's Axe, right? Smash.
Yeah, that's Axe.
I always forget them. Axe, one of the Demolition. We got a Razor in the red. We've got, good old Andre. Pull up Andre real quick. I've got hundreds of these. A buddy of mine, Joey, is letting these go. He's got an old, huge collection, and he doesn't do the internet. Doesn't do computers. So he said, my friend, start taking them home and listing them and getting rid of them. So he's got some pretty big finds in there. He had a mail-away Hulk Hogan. We got rid of that, so that was pretty cool. And, yeah, man, just sorting that. I got a whole basement full of stuff. So if you guys are interested in some Hasbros, some LJNs, some wrestling figures from the 90s, 80s, send me a message. Hop on the Instagram. Good way to plug it right here. The KayFabe Smark on Instagram. Send me a DM. Send me a message on Facebook. The KayFabe Smark. Send me a message. The KayFabeSmark at gmail.com, and I'll get you a list. I've got all the Hasbros inventory. Next, I'm working on the LJNs. We're going to start listing these off and getting them gone. So that's what's been up my sleeve since Sunday.
Sounds like a ball. That's got to actually be pretty awesome to be going through those.
Double awesome because I'm a mark for him. So he said he'd cut me in on some of the profits, but let's be honest, I'm probably going to owe him money by the time this is over. So.
We're going to see a few more figures there behind your head next week. Probably.
I've already got my. So, like, off to this side, I'll turn my camera on later or whatever, but I got all the ones that I've already previously bought, and then my side collection over here is the ones that I've cherry-picked from the collection, going, oh, these are the ones, I gotta have these, I gotta have these, I gotta have these. I mean, like this, a doink. I mean.
I haven't even seen that. Has that got real, or I mean, not real hair, but it's not plastic hair.
Right, it's like yarn hair.
Oh.
And then, see how he's got the 5 fingers on that hand still?
Yeah.
That's a very rare thing.
Oh. Did
I guess
they change it to 4? I don't know. I'm not a wrestling figure guy.
Those fingers were very nimbly. Like all the other guys, right? All of them look like Razor here. They're all balled up in a fist. And they decided to make doinks open. And he would always lose that middle boy or one of these. And you look him up on eBay, $35, $40 for a doink with 4 fingers. So we had a good clean one in there, and I cherry-picked.
You learn something new every day.
Dude, hold on 1 second before we even dive into it. Let me reach into my bag of tricks. These green card ones.
Yeah.
Like it's a Yokozuna on the green card. This card's all jacked up. It's a little dirty. It's bent. Just the guy, even in a card, just the mint Yoko, $200.
Jesus. What's the year on the back of that card? Just curious.
This was the last one they did, and I'm thinking they didn't stay out in print long because 94.
Still, you got a 26-year-old figure there.
In this collection here, you had Ludwig Borga, the Smoking Guns, 1-2-3 Kid, and Adam Bomb. That made this green card collection. They must not have been out in print out long. They must have only made a limited amount and then moved on with another company, dumped Hasbro. I don't know the story behind it because any of those in the green card even open. 1-2-3 Kid, $200 just out of the package. So those in the shitty package, I've got Ludwig, Adam Bomb, and Bart Gunn and Yoko in the green card on card. We're geeking out on wrestling figures. I'll apologize, and we shall move on.
Yes, but we should also let the listeners know about audibletrial.com/thekayfabesmark.
Go ahead and get yourself a free audio book, 30-day free trial. Sign up. We get a little kickback. You guys get a free book, free 30-day trial. They got lots of stuff on there that doesn't cost. A lot of people think that it costs money. Or everything on there costs money. But once you're inside, it's kind of like a little Netflix of audio stuff. So there's free audio books in there. There's free podcasts. It's pretty cool. So check it out. audibletrial.com/thekayfabesmark. And get yourself that free audio book and 30-day free trial. What you got in some news, Eric, before we dive in and talk about some NXT War, or as Steven Regal says it, whore games.
I can get into some whore games, but first, we have couple important appearances in the wrestling world this week. First, we had Kenny Omega. Everybody knows he is your new AEW champion. And Don Callis kidnapped him, threw him in the back of a truck, and took him about his way and said, catch us on Tuesday. And I caught them on Tuesday, Brian.
I caught him on Tuesday, too. They posted the whole episode on YouTube, so that was great because YouTube TV doesn't have access. So I got to watch it on YouTube.
I found out Sling Blue or Orange, whatever color I have, does have access. So
there you go. Got access to access.
I was like, oh, yeah. Never seen that. But anyway, Impact, I keep wanting to call him TNA. Impact just played it right, makes you sit through the entire episode, and then to get to the interview at the end of the episode with Josh Matthews, Don Callis, and Kenny Omega. And I don't know, man. It was pretty bad. What'd you think?
I didn't think it was anything, woohoo, oh my gosh, to write home about. It just was a interview on a bus. Just instead of on AEW, they did it on TNA or Impact, or whatever you want to call it. So it wasn't groundbreaking, no groundbreaking news.
Yeah, the more groundbreaking thing to me was Josh Matthews being on Impact. I had no clue. I was like, hey, that guy looks familiar. But anyway, just the cartoonness of the whole thing, whether it's Don Callis saying he's been planning this whole thing for 27 years, that he planned the Tokyo Dome match between Omega and Chris Jericho to lead to this moment, back to the Golden Shower Chic back up in Canada, which I've never heard of.
Chic.
I don't know. I've heard of the Chic in Detroit.
Yeah, the original
I've
Chic.
heard of that's Sabu's uncle.
The Iron Sheik.
We've all heard of the Iron Sheik and his trips to the ghetto to get crack rock. So
Sheiky baby. But yeah, I've never heard of the Golden Sheik either up in Canada.
No, and then just to top it off, Omega decides, like he's not enough of a fucking nerd, he decides to compare wrestling titles to comic books. How he recently gave up his collecting comic books habit because he couldn't get some special rare comic book. So now he's moved on. Now he's going to go to every wrestling promotion he can think of, and he's going to collect world titles. And I get it. Maybe it's just an attempt to be a heel and make everybody hate him. But I don't know if it's working for me because I already hated him, and this just made me hate him more.
It didn't help you hate him in the right way, did it?
Right. It made me just want to turn off Access TV.
Made you want to? Did you watch any of the? Did you watch anything else from there, from TNA? Did you or Impact? God, now you got me wanting to say it.
The
rest of the show, or
just
do you just
the
kinda jump
cheesy shit
around?
where the security guard wouldn't let the TN the Impact champion outside because Kenny Omega had the parking lot blocked off.
I thought that they should
And-
have done the interview in the ring, like on Impact.
Right, yeah. This looks like it was pre-taped. They could have taped it in the parking lot after the AEW show. We don't know.
Don't know. Yeah. So I thought it'd been to see him in the ring, right?
Right. That would have made such more of a, no pun intended, impact on the industry.
And then the only thing that I hated was that he got into saying he was going to call himself the belt collector. Because there's
Cool.
Austin Aries did the belt collector gimmick back in like 2018, running through all the independents. And he had a belt from every independent wrestling organization, and he called himself the belt collector. So he just went and jocked somebody else's thing. And
Literally word for word.
Word for word. Just Google the belt collector Austin Aries, and the belt collector Austin Aries is going to pop up. So they did that already. It was so. I don't know, man. It was just like whatever. Well, I don't know what. Just do your research, or maybe they just didn't give a fuck. Maybe they did the research and said, "Fuck Austin Aries."
But all cheesiness and nerdiness aside, that appearance did help Impact like a lot. Their viewers went from 166,000 last week, and then with Omega's appearance, they jumped up to 221,000 viewers, which isn't bad for being on a network I've never heard of.
Yeah, for being
that's basically a third of NXT.
To being on,
I wouldn't.
Being
I ain't gonna sneeze at that.
Being on a channel that nobody knows where it's at. Being on a channel that's not in most cable providers. They just need to put it on YouTube in general. They should probably just. I know they probably got a contract with Access. They're probably getting a decent little piece of change from them, but dump Access and just go on YouTube. Become a YouTube content creator.
You might as well. You'd make more money that way.
Man.
And then the other appearance that made news was Stinger making his speaking debut over on TNT on AEW Dynamite. Makes a very dramatic entrance during Cody's promo, and
doesn't say
puts
anything.
on a little clown show between him and Schiavone. Asks for it's Sting.
It's Sting. Take you back to your childhood.
Yeah, they definitely just reminisce for a minute, kind of bring down the fourth wall, and they chit chat or whatever. Stinger says he's not interested in Cody right now. It appears he's interested in Darby Allin more than anybody, but he's going to be around for a long time, according to the Stinger.
Yeah. I was pretty disappointed in this Stinger promo entrance. First time talking on TNT in 18 years or whatever it's been. I just didn't. Nothing was said.
I guess I didn't really have any expectations because back in the day, I was never really a Sting-a-lo. I mean, I watched Surfer Sting with the warrior face paint and the buzz cut, the blonde buzz cut.
Yeah.
But once he turned into Crow Sting, I think I was all WWE at that point. So I had no expectations of what kind of promo to expect from him.
I just thought it was like, but like, it wasn't even to what to expect. It was just, he didn't say anything. That was the part that I hated. Like, he didn't say, like, he just came out. It would have been better if he literally didn't say anything. If he
he used a lot of words to say nothing.
Yeah, if he would have just came out and did some old Crow Sting stuff where he would just, like, eyeball you and just kind of leave again like he did last week, the week previous. Do that for a couple weeks. Something, or just one word. Darby. And then he just walks off. I don't know.
Jeez.
Make him.
I would have popped for that.
Make him mysterious. He's Crow Sting. Like, he was sad and depressed and sat in the balcony in the bleachers, in the rafters for fucking a year and didn't wrestle. That was his gimmick. Just sad Crow Sting after Scott Hall told him, "Hey, yo, you should paint your face like the Crow."
So, yeah, that makes it even worse that he came out and he was all happy-go-lucky with Tony Schiavone. It was just like, yeah, this isn't your gimmick, bro.
Yeah.
This is
Hey, I'm back. Yay! Like, should have just. I saw somebody online said that Sting should not shave his head, but go back to Surfer Sting for a minute. And I said, I don't think that hair is a little too wispy these days. I don't think it's going to come back, and I don't think it could withstand a dye job again. That might be.
Yeah, he looks like if he walks past a Christmas tree, his hair will burst into flames like dry hay.
He's got to turn his Christmas lights off on his head before he goes to sleep at night.
But either way, Christmas hair aside,
Christmas hair.
Stinger's appearance on AEW boosted him even more than the Winners Coming viewers. Last week with Winners Coming, Sting actually making his debut, walking to the ring, got them 913,000 viewers. This week, in anticipation of Sting coming in and bullshitting with Schiavone, they got 995,000 viewers. So 5,000 away from 1 million again. They seem to be reaching up and scraping that million mark fairly often nowadays, don't they?
Yeah, but I like AEW, and it's gonna go away though, because it's just gonna be the same old bullshit. Something different with Sting. It's not gonna be fresh every week like that, though. That's the problem.
No, look at the legends they have brought in. Arn Anderson doesn't do anything. Tully doesn't do anything. Jake Roberts doesn't do anything. Greg Valentine sat in the audience and didn't even say a word. So they just don't have a great track record for using veterans.
I just think though it's not even anybody's fault. Like, nobody's getting the numbers they did in the Attitude Era in the mid 2000s. It just doesn't happen anymore. You're just not getting those ratings numbers. WWE's numbers have dropped dramatically. I mean, from like Raw and SmackDown. They're not pulling in 9 million people watching Raw or whatever it was. Like it was in the 90s. It's like they're getting their million every week. So it's just not the same era of wrestling, but instead of nobody's fault, they're just not going to get that all the time, which is fine.
Yeah. On one hand, you've got so many different forms of entertainment now. Back there in the late 90s, the internet, there was no YouTube, there was no
DVR.
The internet was
or on
pretty new back then. You pretty much could go to a website and that was about it. So yeah, you kind of, what you did at home was just hang out and watch TV. Even cell phones, they didn't have texting or anything back then. So yeah, there's a lot more people watching TV in general, but the product is significantly less entertaining than it was back then too.
Right. And then, there was no DVR, so you had to watch it then in live. You couldn't watch it again.
That's true, unless you popped an old VHS tape in the VCR and figured out how to work the clock and get it timed and all that. So
it's like, never mind.
I don't think I've ever did that once in my 38 years.
Well, with that news aside, I got breaking news from a good friend of the show, Andrew. Mr. Andrew. I almost blew up his last name. I don't want to throw him out there like that. I don't know if he wants that yet. Sent me a text message that Thomas Tiny Lister, also known as Zeus, has passed away. It's being reported by WWE.com and on the social medias. That was Zeus from the No Holds Barred movies, or No Holds movie with Hulk Hogan back in, where did it go here? I just had it up, and then I scrolled up to get another date. Anyways, I'll get it here in a second. The No Holds Barred movies, they came out, it was like 89. And there you go. He came back into the wrestling world. He followed that from the movie. He came in to be a monster heel there. He was working with Ted DiBiase and Macho Man and all the heels of the 80s, late 80s, early 90s there, taking on Hulk Hogan in cage matches and such. He wore that big, like, silver football pads and Zeus. He also went on to be Debo in the movie Friday.
I was going to say, more famously, he was the monster heel in the Friday series. I think he was in every single one of them as Debo.
Debo.
But yeah, Zeus, not really known for his wrestling skills, but he's an intimidating son of a bitch. I think he was only 62, so yeah, it's a bummer that he died.
Yes, definitely. His wrestling career was from 89 to 90, so, it was a big, storied career in the world of wrestling. So yeah, go back and check him out. Looked like he did some independent stuff after that and did a small stint, I forgot about this, came back in 96. That was just the World Wrestling Federation from 89 to 90. And then 90 did the World Wrestling Council. Something in Puerto Rico. Probably that was just to cash a check. Abdul the Butcher said, "Hey, come on in. I'll give you some money." And then he did a small stint in WCW in 96 as the Z Gangster. I forgot about that. The alliance to end Hulkamania again. They brought him back. That was when Hogan jumped over to WCW. They were bringing back all like the gimmicks from WWF. And they brought him back as the Z Gangster. I think it was part of like the Dungeon of Doom. Then they had some other gimmicks in there. Just whatever. I'm just WCW. You want to go back and have something to laugh at, flip it on, make you chuckle. The Z Gangster came back in 96. And then that was it. That was a wrap. I think it was just like 1 or 2 little matches, a little small program. But unfortunately, we lost Zeus Tiny Lister. So there you go.
Yeah, now once again, this story just broke about an hour ago. So yeah, we didn't have time to do a bunch of research on him and bring up a proper bio, but we pulled up what we can and just wanted to report that bummer of a news clip there.
Bummer.
R.I.P. Zeus. R.I.P. Debo.
Debo. All right. Yeah, we'll move on. And then anything else before we dive into the meat and taters of this whole situation?
No, I think it's time to move into some War Games, and I didn't know what to expect from the show. I don't think I've ever watched a War Games pay-per-view, so this was me breaking in, and I was pleasantly surprised with this show, Brian.
War Games was my shit. I loved War Games in WCW. I started watching the War Games probably in like the mid-90s with WCW. Boy, man, I love those the matches. Now in WCW, they had a roof on the cage, so it made it even
like a giant ass hell in the cell, huh?
Yeah, there was a pretty good scary bump from Sid Vicious back. I forget what year it was. I was just watching it on the WWE Network. I think it was like '94. Sid went to powerbomb Brian Pillman. Now Sid's like 7 foot tall essentially. Tries to flip Brian Pillman up into a powerbomb inside a caged ring with a roof on it. Pillman hits his feet and then powerbombs him like straight on his neck. About killed him in the middle of the ring. You want something to be scared about? Go ahead and flip that on. That'll be entertaining. Check that out. I'm pulling up my notes here so we can start off with the first match was the women's NXT War Games match.
Well, before that, I just want to give WWE props for opening their wallets and spending the money to use War Pigs from Black Sabbath. Just coming off that money to pay Ozzy, like that really just put the je ne sais quoi on this episode, if you will, man. I don't think a WWE original production or a song from some cheap rock band that's still trying to make their way onto Apple Music I don't think it would have hit the same.
No, War Pigs did it right. That's for sure. War Pigs was it fit it, and yeah, they like I said, they probably had to open up the wallet a little bit and slice off some cheddar to the whoever owns that.
Yeah, who knows? That song's so old and it's probably been through so many hands, but who knows? I'm sure Ozzy got a few bucks out of it.
Yeah, God bless him. All right,
so
first match.
In true NXT fashion, we're starting off with the women's match. We've got the War Games match of the Team Shotzi, right? She was the captain.
Yep.
Team Shotzi is Shotzi Blackheart, Ember Moon, Rhea Ripley, and Io Shirai versus Team LeRae, consisting of Candice LeRae, Toni Storm, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez.
Yeah. All right, so I started out this match like it just moved a little slow for me just in general. Like I thought that it just because the only thing that gets me that I don't care for the War Games is that there should be something on the line the whole match. Technically, the match doesn't start until the 8th person or all 4 people from each team are in the ring, right?
Right.
So it's just kind of like, all right, these guys are going to beat each other. You can zone out while watching it because you're not going to miss the ending.
Right. No pin is going to happen.
Right.
No DQ or anything is going to happen until about 45 minutes into the match.
So maybe an elimination type thing. That way, if you eliminate somebody from the other team, if you're going to be up a man, that means you'll be up 2, but then there could be nobody in the rings. I get there's a problem with the whole thing. Something just a little different. But what I'm saying is they're going to give you a 30-minute match, right, with this War Games.
Right.
It just you don't have to be pinned down to every second of it. That's just was my only kind of slight problem with it, but we'll go ahead and kick it off.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of a good point there that nothing's going to happen for at least, let's see, you got 2 starting and then you got to get 6 other people in the ring 5 minutes apart. So, yeah, you've got at least 30 minutes before anything even matters. So, yeah, you got that time. Nothing, as shitty as it is to say, nothing really matters until 30 minutes into the match. But what I was kind of confused about is traditionally it seems like the heels would have the advantage in this match, just to kind of give you that classic underdog feel for the baby faces, so you could see them fight up and fight their way back and hopefully win. But the baby faces had the advantage in this match. So I don't know, for me it kind of took it away. You're supposed to be cheering for the baby faces to win, but they've got the advantage almost the entirety of the match.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That was that threw me off. And then the other part that threw me off too was the Team Shotzi. You would think the captain, that's the captain. Like,
right.
Back in the old WCW days when it was 4 Horsemen versus like Hulk Hogan, Team Hogan, or 4 Horsemen versus the NWO or whatever it was. Hogan didn't go in till last. Ric Flair didn't go in till last, or what? The captain, the head of the team. So that's one of the. I thought that was weird because Shotzi came in the middle, and then and left EO back, or so we'll get more into it, but just the way that some of the elimination, or not the eliminations, but the way they entered the ring from their teams, I thought was off too. It's like, well, that's supposed to be your head dude, kind of like calling the shots.
I was thinking in the same vein, essentially, of either the captain should be the last one in the ring or the captain should be the first one in the ring. If they would have started with Candice LeRae and Shotzi Blackheart, I wouldn't have been mad at that because you got your captain starting off, and it's not Survivor Series where they're going to get eliminated, But
I can agree with that.
Ember Moon ended up starting off with Dakota Kai, and man, this Ember Moon chick, man, she can work, and it looks like she works stiff, unless she's just that good at throwing punches and whatnot. But man, it looked like she was laying it in there on Dakota Kai.
Yeah, they were going at it. I mean, it was a good, they fought. There was no question that Ember Moon and Dakota Kai were fighting. They put it on. It was a little slow getting it moving, but like I said, then once they picked it up and they got in there, then you start to add some people. Then you add Shotzi into the match next, giving her team that 2-on-1 advantage. So now you got Shotzi and Ember Moon in there against just Dakota Kai, and now it's basically a Dakota Kai ass whooping.
Right, and they right off the bat they're using the cage creatively. Dakota Kai ended up getting scraped all the way down the fence, and Ember Moon ended up doing a suicide dive through the ropes to squash her against the fence. So it was kind of cool to see. It right off the bat, it wasn't gaga and overdone, but it was just kind of using their environment to their advantage and actually being a little creative with it. So I wasn't getting bored in this match.
No, I didn't. Okay. Maybe I'm I don't want to sell it that I was bored. I'm just selling it that it was, you didn't have to pay exact every second of attention to it. So I wasn't bored. I sat here and, was very entertained and watched the whole thing. It was just maybe have a little bit more on the line, some eliminations, or if you eliminate yourself, you're safe, something on there, you know what I'm saying, to keep your eye peeled on the match. So.
Oh, I was just essentially saying I planned on being bored for this match. I wasn't.
I didn't want to oversell when I was kind of shitting on it in the beginning that I was like that you didn't have to watch it. All right, so yeah, okay, well yeah, because you went into it with an NXT. So Eric went into this going NXT women's
opening match, women's match,
and not 100% or not even you knew what the War Games was about, but not an old WCW guy, and kind of marking out for an old WCW gimmick match. So you're like,
right,
cool. I don't know what I'm going to watch, and then pleasantly entertained. So
Yeah, but Shotzi does come into the match and immediately grabs a crowbar and a toolbox. And why I have a problem with this, Brian, is because if these weapons plan on being used, there's no logical way to use these weapons without giving somebody brain damage. You got a fucking metal toolbox and a fucking supposedly metal crowbar. What can you do besides, I don't know, choke somebody with the crowbar? But there's no attacks that make sense unless you're whacking them, and then all of a sudden you got a broken knee or a cracked skull. So it's just the choice of using a crowbar and a toolbox as the first weapons in this match was just like, ugh, like why?
now this is going to go for the overall feel of this entire match. I thought the gimmicks were a little thick.
Oh yeah.
So you got Shotzi starting out with a toolbox, or was it Shotzi that brought that in, right? She got the tool.
Yeah, Shotzi brought in the toolbox and the crowbar.
Toolbox and the crowbar, and then you get, as we move on, we're going to see kendo sticks, and then we're going to see chairs, and I just thought it was too much. I have in my notes, I mentioned it later on, but since we're on the topic here, like, I don't think these girls needed the gimmick. Any of them. I don't think they needed the kendo sticks. I don't think they needed the chairs. I don't think they needed the toolbox. You have a cage over top of 2 rings. Like, you can't make that gimmick work for you. Something like you only see at best once a year. You can do a lot of stuff with that. So I thought it just took away from the other thing I thought it took away from too from these girls was that it took away from what they were doing. Like, if they're finally getting a chance to be over and show off and be, a big attraction in a big attraction match, and then you just sprinkle it full of gimmicks.
Yeah, gaga, just gimmicks, yeah.
So then I think they get lost in the sauce.
Right, definitely. You can be so creative with this match and this environment, as Ember Moon started off with, before any weapons were even introduced. But I'll get into my main gripe with the weapons as we work our way down with the entrance. But just moving along, Raquel Gonzalez is the next to enter, and she's immediately ambushed by Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. And so they're attacking her. She's stuck in the corner, and it's almost like Wonder Woman. Like, all of a sudden, Raquel Gonzalez just kind of explodes, and both Shotzi and Ember just kind of shoot across the ring like a grenade went off. And I get it. Raquel Gonzalez is a big girl. She's strong, but it was like I was watching a cartoon again, man. It was just, she flung both of them girls. They got to at least be right around 130 pounds apiece.
Oh, yeah.
Just tossed them right across the ring. So it was just like, all right. So now Raquel Gonzalez is a superhero, but Rhea Ripley comes in and just kind of nullifies the whole superhero effect, because Rhea Ripley herself is a superstar, and nothing's going to change my mind on that.
So I had mixed emotions watching this part. So now you have Raquel Gonzalez in there, and then you get Rhea Ripley that comes in. Now, they kind of started to square off right away. And so I watched it on my computer, so I'm just typing my notes. I got 2 monitors going. I'm like, just typing things as I feel them, so not necessarily like notes, if you will. But what happened is I thought they were, so I typed in my notes, I was all mad. I was like, I thought they should have made these 2 wait to square off. Well, then they ended up not squaring off, essentially. It kind of got diverted. They kept teasing it, and they did a pretty good job teasing it. So I was mad in the beginning that they were going to have these 2 fight. They just had them get eye to eye, like, all right. They did like an, I see you, you see me, I see you. We're going to do this, but not right now. And then they turned around and respectively beat the shit out of other people for a minute. Then they were doing that taunting thing back and forth. You get in my ring. No, you get in my ring. Meet me in the middle. And then they beat the shit out of each other in between the rings. So that was pretty cool. They teased it long enough, I thought, after a while. So I was mad at first that they were going to give it away too fast. But they then slowed it down and then made us wait for it. And you got these 2 monsters beat the shit out of each other for a little bit. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. That's what we want to see. Out of everybody in this match, everybody wanted to see a Rhea Ripley squaring off with Raquel Gonzalez, and but I was kind of looking from a different view here. I got to see uh, a very kind of perceptive contrast here. So you got Rhea Ripley, she's got her thing going on with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, and everything you see there is super crisp, super clean, just straight smooth. And then on the other side of the ring, I notice basically anything Shotzi Blackheart is involved in is super clunky and just all over the place. And her punches suck. And it was almost like you've seen a polished pro on one side of your screen and then just a complete mud show amateur fuck on the other side of the screen. Maybe Shotzi isn't that bad, but when she's working right next to Rhea Ripley, just doing everything perfectly, it just looked bad.
Yeah, right. That'd be putting, put any of the girls from the quote main roster, put Charlotte Flair in there, and he'd be going, "Whoa, hey, has these other girls ever wrestled before?" So I feel what you're saying. I have a note in here that said I want to like Shotzi Blackheart, but I just can't. Like, I want to like her, like her character. I kind of like the character. She's just a little loud, a little wild. I hate the tank. So if she ditched the tank and maybe at this point never used it again, but originally had used the tank, maybe only used it, at the big shows, like the takeovers. If she just came out in a takeover tank and even decorated it appropriately, I think that would have been pretty cool. But they overdid the tank. And she's kind of growing on me. So I don't absolutely hate her, but I don't absolutely love her either.
Yeah, the tank thing, they even brought that up in this match. At one point, one of the announcers mentions one of the heel girls destroyed Shotzi's tank, and that's why they're beefing. And tank thing needs to go. I've disliked Shotzi Blackheart ever since the first time I've seen that stupid ass tank.
The stupid ass tank. It reminds me of something DX would have drove out, but not the first DX, or not even the third DX when it was just Shawn and Hunter again, and they were like the tag team DX, and then they had Hornswoggle running around with them.
Right.
Remember that era of DX?
Yeah.
I can see like Hornswoggle driving that little tank around and being part of the DX, like shooting off some green fireworks or something in the ring. But anyways, we can continue to move on here. Rhea did that spot with her belt to Dakota where she took off her belt.
Oh yeah, that's right. I missed. Well, I saw it, but I didn't take notes on that. But
I thought that was a cool spot. That was just pretty cool. It was just something different. She took the belt off. She kind of tied her arms up so it was like pinched in at her sides, and then gave her a couple headbutts, and then took her and swung her and threw her into the cage. And it really just showed off the possible power of her. I know it's wrestling and everybody's working together and blah, blah, blah. But nonetheless, I still think she could pretty much do that if she wants to most of those girls in that ring.
Yeah, she's 5'10". I don't know her legit weight, but yeah, that's a strong girl in there and dominant. But this is where the weapons gimmicks really got me right here. And of all people, it had to be Rhea Ripley. Oh, so disappointed. Rhea Ripley grabs an obviously gimmicked sledgehammer out of the toolbox.
Oh, yeah.
And I say obviously gimmicked because when she twirls the damn thing, anyone who's ever held a sledgehammer in their life knows the head on a sledgehammer is so heavy. If you try to twirl it like a fucking baton, it's going to tumble out of your hand and just slam onto your foot and break a toe. But Rhea's out there like a goddamn band leader twirling the fucking sledgehammer. And just fucking whacks Dakota right in the fucking back of the neck. That if she would have hit her with an actual sledgehammer like that, we wouldn't be reporting on Tiny Zeus Lister. We'd be reporting on Dakota Kai's fucking funeral right now because Rhea would have shattered her spine.
Right, yeah. I'm just going to smack you in the back of the head at your spinal cord with a sledgehammer.
So it's like, what? Don't bring in weapons like that. Don't bring in a weapon like a sledgehammer if it's got to be made out of foam and you're gonna swing it like you're actually.
For the love of Pete, Triple H is the head dude in charge at NXT. He is the cerebral assassin. His main weapon of choice was a crispy clean new sledgehammer every pay-per-view and every Monday Night Raw for years. Teach him, have a little class. It's a pandemic.
Yes.
You guys aren't touring.
If you must use a sledgehammer, use a real one and just whack them in the stomach. As cheesy as that is, it's better than using a styrofoam sledgehammer and smacking them on the back of the spine.
You got to put your hand over it and then punch him. You got to, for some reason, you always had to hit people with your hand first with the sledgehammer behind it. Then, bam. That's
well, you don't want to hurt anybody, Brian.
Well, you'd be a silly goose. And then you get Tony Storm coming in next, right?
Yeah, Tony Storm comes in and she brings kendo sticks.
Right to the side of the ring, grabs kendo sticks. Like, these girls can't come in alone, man. Just let them do their shit. They're just bringing in more shit, more gimmicks, and just filling up the ring full of shit. I guess if you get bored, you just grab one and hit somebody with it. Just like if you have a lost moment. What do? Hit somebody with a kendo stick.
It just reminds me of when I was a teenager and we would get those tinfoil cake pans from Kroger,
right? And
you'd whack each other over the head with it and try to sell it. And
we all did it.
It's just, everyone knows it's fake. Anyone who would watch us do it knows it's fake. And that's exactly what this seems what they're using. Obviously, well, I mean, kendo sticks are legit. We've seen some of the damage done by those things, but just too many weapons, too much gaga. And next thing on my notes before Io Shirai comes in is it's just right now we just get a few minutes of filler, just everyone kind of goofing around, catching their breath.
There was a, again, I'll talk about it from the Botchamania, their gimmick where they do the you talk too much. When all the girls were in the corner, this will be on there, I can guarantee it. There was two from each team because you had 6 people in the ring, so you had 2 from each team on one side, and then one, then the opposing team girl from the other side. And they were doing some super power bomb, thing from the rope gimmick superplex thing to them.
Right.
But you can hear them call out the spot. So you can hear them say, 1, 2. You can hear somebody count it down. 1, 2, 3. And I doubled back because I didn't want to shit on it, but I had to I doubled back and paused it and said, wait a minute. All right, you got those 2. All right, they're from, Team LeRae, okay, and then that's a Shotzi girl. Oh, you got 2 Shotzis and a LeRae over here. Okay, so these are 2 opposing teams doing the same spot, and you could hear them count it out. And I understand. It's all predetermined. I understand. It's in the show title here, the KayFabe Smark. We are KayFabe. We understand what it means. Like, I get the lingo, but man, turn the mics down, or turn the house mics down, or back off the camera shots or something. The cameramen need to know what's going on before they come in hot on these shots. And you hear them count 1, 2, 3, whoop, and you just hear them count and do the flip.
So, pro wrestling to me is an art form. I think you would agree with that. An art form such as being a musician or being an actor.
Yeah.
But in pro wrestling, I mean, there's lines and there's scripts, but the meat and potatoes of pro wrestling is the wrestling. So the art form is making it look legit, making it look real. So just, even though we all know it's predetermined, if you can hear people calling spots and you can tell the weapons are gimmicked, that's just being a shitty artist. And when it comes down to it.
Yes. The problem with some of this is these days is excuse me, the microphones on these cameras, the audio quality that you can achieve these days is so good that just the standard ring talk that has always happened since the beginning of wrestling, you can hear now. It's not pre-recorded. So, all of our Saturday morning wrestling that we would watch, Eric, right? The Saturday morning challenge and Superstars and all that jazz, that was all pre-recorded. So, Vince wasn't letting out errors like that. They would edit around things, or they would make sure they would talk over things. They would turn Vince up or turn Roddy Piper up, whoever was on commentary, Gorilla Monsoon, and you could lose those things. But now with such the high def, video and audio that you can achieve these days, that hurts them in that talking that we can now hear a lot of. And also, they're in an empty arena, so the people running the audio or something should have cued and just be ready for these things. For the love of Pete, again, we know it's happening. Put the production team with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, and maybe the guys in the production truck on audio, they don't know that these girls have to count down 1, 2, 3, like they're swinging their little sister at the fucking park. But so there's a lot of moving parts. I guess things are gonna get hiccuped.
Yeah, it's fine.
But still,
I like hearing them.
Form, and you just need to keep your art form polished.
I like hearing them, so that's like my art form, is trying to hear the ring talk, or trying to read lips when the referee's over top of them, and the refs, they take a huge bump through a table, and the ref runs over top, and he's like, "Are you fine?" And you just see him go, "Yeah, I'm good," and then but then lay there like he's like his neck's broken. So it's like that. You try to watch for that stuff as a wrestling guy. And next we get Io Shirai coming in, right?
Yes, Io Shirai comes in
and runs right into the ring.
Yeah, if you haven't figured it out from our previous statements, this match is just a hat on a hat, and Io Shirai just fucking puts the final nail in the coffin by bringing out ladders.
Now you got ladders. And then I'll be honest with you, it didn't click to me that there was no roof on this, like the old WCW War Games, until she grabbed the ladders. And I went, how the fuck are you going to bring a ladder in a cage with a roof? Because the old WCW ones were low. Like, just standing, like, not even like Nash. I'm talking like Hogan, could just like reach up or jump up and grab the roof and hang from it and kick. Like, they do those spots. So I was like, you can't get on the ropes. But it didn't click. Even though they did this double suplex thing and all that jazz off of the turnbuckles, I was like, oh, wait, there's no roof on this. But anyways, she brings that in. But what I did like about this with Io Shirai is that Raquel Gonzalez wasn't letting her in the ring. I love that spot.
So that kept the babyface's advantage, kept it away. It kept things on an even keel, that the heels were keeping Shirai out of the cage. And then we finally get a decent heel spot here when Indy Hartwell comes out.
Yes, you get the Indy she's got her neck in a glittery gimmick there, and she jumps over the barricade, and she takes out Io, and then Candice LeRae goes into
Candice LeRae comes in, and all of a sudden the heels have the advantage.
The heels have the advantage. Candice LeRae's in the ring, and then Indy Hartwell there, she locks it up with a new lock and key, and locks it up, and then drops the key down her blouse, and then dips out. And the referee said, "There's nothing we can do."
That was great. You caught that spot too, where the referee's like, "Come on, Indy, give me the key," and she just pulls her shirt out and drops it down her cleavage, and they're just like, what do we do?
It's gone.
I just thought it was great. I thought that was a pretty funny spot.
It was funny, but I just love how the referees, like in referee world, like it's just gone. It can never come back.
Nope, you can't touch boobies.
You can't touch boobies. And they don't have an Aubrey. They don't have referee Aubrey, so she can't go in there. You just send a chicken to go get it, and then it's all good. So I like that.
And then,
I just really liked, for some reason, I liked the whole door gimmick that they were keeping it locked out, and they took off. They had the belt, and they were holding the belt with the door closed, and it just made it real dirty heel. This is when the match really started to pick up for me, and then I was digging it.
Well, yeah, that was a pretty cool spot there with the door, but this is also where they released the Kraken of Gaga when Io Shirai climbs the fucking cage with a garbage can on a string, mind you, that way, like, it wasn't pre-planned or anything. There's a string hanging from the garbage can so Io can bring it to the top of the cage with her, puts it over her fucking head like she's going over a Niagara Falls, jumps off the top of the cage, and coincidentally, all 7 of the other girls are just standing in the middle of the ring waiting to catch the fucking garbage can girl.
Waiting to catch Oscar the Grouch. It was a catch me spot. I definitely wrote that in the notes. She definitely had a catch me spot. It was, you've never seen anybody put a garbage can over their head and jump into a pile of people. You ain't seen it before. You've seen it now, but do you want to see it?
Yeah, for a good reason we've never seen it, Brian, because it fucking stinks.
I didn't say it was good. I just said you just didn't see it. It was just something you ain't seen before.
And we're not done with the garbage can gimmick because Shirai gets put back into the garbage can so Dakota Kai can do a coup de grace on her.
And I have in my notes, I think she was really stuck.
Yeah, after she stomped her.
Yeah, because she tried to get her out to
stuck
pin
in
her,
that boy.
but the way it bent down at a nice triangular point. And then she tried pulling her out, and the can came with her, and then she's trying to bend it back up. I think she's really stuck. And we'll jump back just about 2 minutes here. So before Io does her garbage can Superman into the ring, she the heel team there, Candice LeRae's team, was going bananas. They go for the pin, and the referee goes, "I can't count it. Not everybody's in the match. I need Io in this ring." And then that's when I knew something was going to happen.
It was going to happen, yeah.
Because I'm going, she was released out of her shark cage. So she's in the match. She's just not in the ring.
Right.
So they just oversold it for me there. It was like, she's in the match, you dum-dum. She's been released. Her time's up. Just because she can't get in the ring, that's her problem. Pin them. That should be a wrap. But then you knew there was going to be something. It's like, oh, look, she's at the top of the cage. She's got a garbage can. She jumped. And it was so slow. If she would have just scaled up it and jumped in, it would have been pretty dope. But stand up there, then put a garbage can in. If I was on the other team, I just would have walked away. I'm just stand here. What are you going to fucking catch this dumb girl? Have your partners catch her.
Right. If your partner's that much of an idiot where she's going to stand on top of the cage and slowly put a garbage can over her head, yeah, you guys can go ahead and catch her. I'm not fucking around with that.
Yeah, that was rough.
So then this match wraps up when Io ends up getting powerbombed through a ladder by Raquel Gonzalez, Wonder Woman herself.
I thought that was a pretty cool spot. She went to go, so they had the ladder set up, and she looked like Io was going to try and give some Hurricane Rana type, monkey flip, leg flip. I don't know exactly what she was going for, right? Because the move didn't happen. But nonetheless, she was trying to flip her through the ladder, but Raquel just overpowers her. And the way that it was overpowered for me, I didn't think it was oversold. So sometimes when they do those, it's like, oh, look, you stopped me, and then they have to kind of readjust people and go for the power bomb. Well, they just made it look like Io was going to try and climb up the cage to get out after she lifted her back up. Right, she stopped her from doing the Hurricane Rana, we'll call it, and she brings her back up, and it looks like Io's going to try and escape because she knows something's going to happen, and then she just pulls her down and just yeets her right through that ladder. So it was all well put together for me on that spot. And sometimes those spots can, like I said, can look a little like, oh, right, something's happening here. Just hold tight. We'll see what's going to go down in just 2 seconds. But they did pretty good with that, I thought.
Yeah, and it looked great. It looked fantastic, and they did it well. Yeah, you just described how Gonzalez overpowered her, and it didn't look too stagey. And the only thing that really got me, she went through that ladder. And this is where you kind of get to the point where, just to reiterate, women shouldn't have this many weapons or be taking this many ladder spots or such big things, because you know what's going to happen, Brian, is Io Shirai just got power bombed through a fucking ladder by Raquel Gonzalez, probably the strongest girl on the roster, and she's going to be completely fine, and she'll be on NXT next week. And so what does that say if a girl can take a sledgehammer to the back of the head and get power bombed through a ladder, and another girl jumping off the fucking top of the cage in a garbage can and getting smashed, and they're all going to be completely fine and walk away and be on Twitch the next day playing video games? Now, if a girl can do that, then it shouldn't do anything to the guys. The guys should be able to just...
They got 100 pounds on them, and
right. The guys should walk away without even a scratch. We shouldn't see another drop of blood because girls can do this shit. 110. Now, this isn't me being sexist. This is just pure body size and strength. You got a 115-pound girl who can take a sledgehammer to the back of the head and be completely fine the next day. So when you got a 300-pound, 6'7" muscular beast, what's a garbage can going to do to him?
Yeah.
What's a chair going to do to him?
What's a
Nothing.
Sledgehammer to the back of the neck?
Nothing. It just itches back a little bit. It's like hitting him with a back scratch.
Gonna have to get out the hacksaw and cut his head off. And then that's how you're gonna have to finish the matches.
Yeah. If you need a fucking cinder block to hurt a girl, you're gonna need a Mack truck to hurt a guy. It's just the way the logic breaks down.
Well, you break that down too logically, and now it's gonna bug me. I'm gonna be like, "Damn you, Eric." So, Team Candice LeRae takes the dub, and they move on to whatever that's worth and whatever it was for. Again, this was kind of like we talked about with Survivor Series. Something should have been on the line for the team too, but that's a whole nother conversation. I've already talked about it. You can go back to the archives and listen to that at the anchor.fm/thekayfabesmark and hear me bitch about that during Survivor Series. So I think something similar should have been on the line for this in NXT. But we will continue on with this card as that one match took us quite a little bit of chunk of time. So we'll continue on here. Tommaso Ciampa taking on Timothy Thatcher.
And boy, this match started out at the speed of sludge, didn't it, Brian?
Ooh, started out the speed of stink, if you ask me. But yes, I love Tommaso's entrance with his, I didn't know what it was, and I don't think it was anything. It's just Mortal Kombat-ish gimmick look thing going on. I don't think it represented anything for Mortal Kombat. It was just it wasn't anybody. It was just a cool-looking gimmick, though. So I liked his little entrance and his mask and his that he had going on. And then you get Timothy Thatcher's entrance with, like, a satin jacket, a towel, blue panties, and a TT on his back, like on the corner of his trunks. It was like, wow, new school definitely versus old school in this match.
Yeah, and bro, I want to like Timothy Thatcher because A, I like heels, and B, he's so technically sound and he's so good with the submission moves. But there's no spark to him. There's no it factor to him for me. Just his entire personality and all of his matches are just as boring as his blue panties and knee-high socks. It's just, it's a snooze fest whenever he's in the ring.
So here's what you're starting the topic that I had next on my notes here. It says Thatcher working holds, or Thatcher's just working all the holds, and they look like, so first off I said, sorry, getting confused in my notes here. Thatcher working these holds, and they look like they legitimately hurt. So first off, he can put a hold on somebody, some of these submission moves, and like he's stretching them, and he either can do them very, very well, where they look good, or he just does them. And straight up, at like a low, if you will, percentage. I'm just going to crank your ankle here. You can handle 30%. It won't break there. And just really tap it in. Really helps the selling process, I think, on the other guy, too. But leading into that note, I just have Thatcher is a dude in a ring who can fight. Tommaso Ciampa is a entertainer in the ring that can tell a story. And Thatcher will have will have a long, promising career as long as he can continue lining up with opponents that work and offset his lackings in that part of the storytelling. So if you can line him up with a Tommaso Ciampa, this could be a good feud for a while. Then you got to line him up with a, Johnny Gargano, or you got to line him up with a Finn Balor, but you can't have two Timothy Thatchers in the ring.
No, that would outsell Ambien, Brian.
Or you got to have, or it could be even worse than, or not even worse, but in that same sense, somebody who is just not good at telling the story. So, you can't, not even just a boring Timothy Thatcher, it can be still that entertainer type wrestler But if he's not the one carrying the story, then nobody's carrying the story. And then you're going to go, woof. What was that? So I started out thinking this match was moving very slow as well. I started out thinking it was moving very boring. And somewhere along the halfway point, I would say, this match, I realized I was watching it. And not watching it because it was on and I turned on wrestling to watch wrestling because that's what I do, and then also to watch it so I can come on here and talk about it with you. Like, I was literally just into the match. I was like, looked at my notes, like I didn't write shit down in like 10 minutes going, all right, I might want to start to comment on that. So without taking any notes, that's my note. Is it just kind of drew me in slowly here. They started to lay the moves that they were laying those knees in pretty heavy on each other. At one point when Tommaso gave that knee, it wasn't the knee trigger, the V trigger or whatever, but it was very similar to that move there. But wham, right on the side of Thatcher's head, and then gets him down in that submission hold. And he was pulling it back so tight, and Thatcher was selling it so well that whatever they popped in his cauliflowered ear was just running down the side of his face. Not to say that, like, oh, cool, you have to get hurt to sell me over, but that put it over. It really amplified it. It was kind of similar, not to all the way to the extent, so don't quote me on this, Eric. But it had that similar feel, esque to when Austin was in the sharpshooter and his face is bleeding. Now, it wasn't the groundbreaking
Blood
moment
from a stone.
It wasn't the groundbreaking moment that was for Stone Cold Steve Austin to have that happen in Thatcher's career, but nonetheless, it legitimizes the badassery of it. Like, he gets his ear busted and he screams in the middle of the ring and doesn't tap. Cool. You continue on with the match.
No, I just say 2 ear spots in 2 weeks. Last week being Rhea Ripley getting her earlobe ripped. It's just too much, Brian.
Too much ears.
It's copycat bullshit.
Copycat mud show bullshit.
No, but yeah, my take on this match was when Thatcher was in control, it was at the beginning, super slow, super boring. Ciampa started making a comeback, and I think that lit the fire in this match. And it almost lit a fire in Timothy Thatcher because when he got that control back in the match, he was just pure asshole heel. Targeting Ciampa's weak spots, that being his knees, his back, his throat, and smiling the whole time that he's just kicking him. And
he kind of
just working that throat.
He tapped into his storytelling abilities with his face.
Right, and I think Ciampa brought him into that. But overall, it was just slow and methodic. But, yeah, it was nice to see Ciampa kind of liven up Timothy Thatcher a little bit because it started out looking like a snooze fest and ended up being a really good match. And I've got my note on here, and I actually wrote them down as V triggers when Timothy Thatcher got his ear busted open, but I couldn't tell. There was so much blood. I couldn't tell if it was coming from inside his ear or from the outside of his ear. It looked like his goddamn brain was leaking out of his head.
Yeah,
it looked so much blood.
It looked pretty bad. I'm just assuming it was a cauliflowered ear that got busted open when they did that knee trigger, V trigger, whatever you want to call it there. Whatever Tommaso Ciampa calls it. He probably gives it some like whimsical name, the Willow's Wand or some nonsense.
But yeah, that's how Ciampa ends up taking this match with a vicious Willow's Bell, man. That thing looked brutal.
And then the cover was pretty dope, too. It was a different way that you've ever seen a cover, if you remember. He did like that full body cover, like he mounted him. So he got in like that full mount position, like he's MMA style, but then just kind of hugged him and then it's like laid on top of him. And got the 1, 2, 3, so it was like kind of awkward to watch him lay like that and get all like it was just weird and different. But then it was like, you never saw that before. After you thought about it, you're like, what's he doing? And then it's just a different way. He didn't do the lateral press; he did the horizontal press, I guess.
No, it just kind of brought an extra couple points of legitimacy where
I got to hold this bastard
it appeared
down.
That Ciampa was saying, "I got to make sure this motherfucker's shoulders stay down."
Yeah, if I let this guy move, he's gonna get up. So. I did like that match a lot. And then we move on to Dexter Lumis taking on Cameron Grimes.
I didn't like this match, Brian.
I didn't like this match for several reasons. So, Dexter Lumis is in great shape.
Right.
Pretty good wrestler from what I've seen. He's got a character about him, but that character doesn't need to be a serial killer. Okay, so he has the same name as a guy who had a show, not even a real person, just a guy from a show had the name Dexter, and he was a serial killer. And they give Dexter Lumis that same, like, serial killer, horror movie villain.
Right. Nothing behind the eyes, just kind of blank stare. Yeah.
Like a doll's eyes. And then Cameron Grimes is just so scared of him that he's always running away. And they're teasing that, right, with him, his little running drawing of him running away. And that's why they had to have the strap match. Okay, cool, whatever. Get off the serial killer, evil monster gimmick, because you've always, a lot of stuff in NXT is always pushed as being so real. There's real guys. It's Timothy Thatcher, and he's going to put you in these real holds and stretch you until you cry. Not too gimmicky these days in NXT. Just people coming up from the independent wrestling scene, and you know that, and they know that now. They don't pretend the independent wrestling scene doesn't exist, and then they pop you up. But you still have this one section of the pie, this Dexter Lumis Cameron Grimes match, that you have to let go and go, okay, I'm reading a comic book. This guy's tries to murder people, and WWE doesn't ever arrest him.
Right. You've got a guy who has zombies running around his house and chase Cameron Grimes, the snake oil salesman, around. We're just back in the cartoon cinematic world when these two enter the show.
Cameron Grimes is very over-the-top, cartoony reactions to everything. They don't fit for me here, but I think they could fit and be funny done another way, some other way. To say the same thing twice in the same sentence and sound like a moron there. But to do something, to use this another way, his character, the way that he can act, he's very Jack Blackish to me. You know, like his character. So it could be done right, I think. But I don't buy it here. The strap match, Cameron Grimes brings his own strap in. The referee argues with him that he's got to use the official strap. There's an official is there a WWE stamp on it? You can't get it you didn't get it off eBay. And then they fight for a while without it being on, and then finally they squeeze it on, and then the bell rings. This is about as dumb as the Io Shirai's not in the ring. You can't pin somebody.
Right. Same exact legitimacy factor to where that was another thing I was thinking.
Because there's
Cameron
no disqualification.
Go ahead. First of all, he's just terrified of Dexter Lumis, but he had no problem attacking him before the bell rang, attacking him before he could get the strap on him, and just going to town on him. That's how terrified of him he is. How can you go from 1 week being basically in a ball rocking on the floor because you're terrified of somebody, and to where you have to do a hood match with hoods over your faces because you can't even look at the other guy, to just completely mollywop and beating the shit out of him? Maybe it's a fight or flight reaction type thing they're going for. But yeah, just right off the bat, I was just like, how is Grimes going so hard on this dude when he's terrified of him?
Yeah, he's just... And then... Yeah, I agree. I can't... This match, And then... as I'm watching it, I get a text message from, again, Andy, who likes to keep me informed on Tiny Lister passing. He also texted me during this match and said, "Are you watching this?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm just going to jump to the ending. We can go back and fill in some gaps for a minute, but I don't really care to spend too much time on this match." He goes, that was a strap match. I said, "Yeah, you're right." He goes, "Okay, just making sure." Where are you going with this? And he says, "Well, I thought in strap matches you have to touch all four corners to win." And
that crossed my mind too.
And then I was like, "Oh, yeah, he won with a submission hold or whatever." So it was just kind of changed the rules, but didn't announce them and traditionally you have to, carry your partner around and tap all four corners. Like, look at any Dusty Rhodes strap match. That was the way it was
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe
But
this
it was just
maybe
wacky.
this was a zombie strap match, and we're used to a Texas rodeo strap match. There's so many different names for them. Who knows?
I know, but it was just dumb, and then the match was dumb, and I didn't really care for this whole thing. I really didn't. So.
Oh, and the worst part, Brian. There was two parts that aggravated me. Oh, there's more than two parts, but I digress. Cameron Grimes must have a thing for leather blindfolds, because how many times did he just wrap the strap around Dexter Loomis's eyes? Is that some sort of gimmick with the serial killer can't look him in the eyes type thing? Or it just seemed, why is he covering his eyes with the strap so much? It's not, put the damn thing around his throat and choke him. Why the eyes?
I don't know.
And then this whole thing, the one good thing I can take out of this match was it was a straight up brawl. These guys were just beating the living shit out of each other, getting thrown into the hockey glass, and then they have to interrupt the brawl so that Cameron Grimes can put a black velvet bag over Dexter Loomis's head. That the bag was doing everything it possibly could to fall off of his head, and Dexter Loomis is doing everything he possibly can to keep the goddamn bag on his head. And it was just like, you keep putting your fucking hands on the bag, bro. Just take it off.
Just take it off.
Fucking idiot. Like, the spot's blown. Just fucking improvise. Take off the goddamn bag. It was just so fucking stupid that he have to keep reaching up and grabbing the goddamn thing to keep it over his face. You gotta be able to work in situations like that, man. You can't just, I don't know. I was a little frustrated.
Yep, it sucked. And then I think we should move on to one of the better matches of the evening.
Well, almost. Can I complain about Dexter Loomis's lack of ability to whip someone with a fucking strap? There's so many bad parts. These guys are both, oh man. I don't want to just completely shit on this thing like it was the worst thing in the world, because these guys are both very talented workers. But you give Dexter Loomis a strap and tell him to whip somebody, and he just does the worst job possible. There was not one pop of the leather hitting Cameron Grimes' body. It was just horrible. And then in contrast, Cameron Grimes gets a strap and he's whipping the absolute shit out of Dexter Loomis. But that was just the last thing. It was just everything besides the brawling in this match was extremely poorly done, and I hated this match. But finally, Dexter Loomis gets the quote-unquote silence on Cameron Grimes and ends up winning by tap out.
Cool.
Cool. Moving on, the lights flicker, and we get a video package of a vulture and TikTok. Not the Chinese dancing video app for your iPhone.
You can follow us on the TikTok at the KayFabe Smark.
TikTok, because
Karrion Kross.
Karrion Kross is coming back.
I can see it in your eye. I can see it in your eyes.
Good thing I wasn't holding the bag over my head, Brian.
We're gonna do a blindfold.
You could tell I was reaching for help there.
Next
Karrion
podcast
will be coming back soon. We all remember that separated shoulder where he had a fucking softball on the top of his shoulder.
Yeah.
From that separation, and I like I like Karrion Kross, and I'm excited for his comeback.
I'm clipping that. I like Cameron Grimes.
You got blackmail on me now.
So yes, Karrion Kross creeping on the come up. There's a little bit of that teased again on NXT the following night, but we will continue on here. The next one is the 3-way match, right?
Yes, this is for our North American Championship. We've got the challengers, Damian Priest and Johnny Gargano, versus our hometown hero, Brian. I just found this out.
From Detroit,
we have to
Michigan.
cheer for this fucking goofball.
Yeah, I kind of like this
he's
guy.
from Detroit. Leon Ruff.
Leon Ruff. And I kept wanting to call him Leo Rush because that was very similar names. A guy from that just left NXT had the name Leo Rush and Leon Ruff, and they're very you can get yourself tongue tied if you're not careful. So if I say Leo Rush, I mean Leon Ruff. All right, so yes, I was looking forward to this match, and it was I thought it delivered very well. Delivered very well. I like the fact that that Damian Priest was all about just murdering Johnny Gargano and just kept telling Leon to dip. Now, I don't know if you've been paying attention to what led up to this, Eric, but on NXT, so Damian Priest lost it at Halloween Havoc, right? He lost the North American title.
He lost to Gargano, yeah.
And then Leon Ruff came in to on one of the weekly shows and challenged for it to Gargano. Damian Priest comes down, gives him a cold cock to the jaw, Johnny Gargano, and Leon Ruff wins the title. Bingo, bango. Now you've got this new guy with a title. So he's back and forth, he's defending it, and then it comes out that Damian Priest says, I'm using the kid to get over on Gargano. And then that's when Leon Ruff gets mad at him. He thought his big brother was there to help him and protect him. To come find out he's using him. And then that's kind of what leads into this match.
It's funny you use the phrase big brother because that's a spin on the adjective I use for how Damian Priest treats Leon Ruff. He, quote unquote, little brothers him this entire match. All right, get out of the way, Leon. I'm gonna fuck up Johnny Gargano.
Because
you just go sit in the corner, and I'm gonna go ahead and do my thing in this match. This title's mine.
He doesn't want to hurt. He likes Leon,
right,
in the story, but he's just like, move, and I won't put a boot to your face.
Stay out of the way, and you won't get hurt.
But you're not gonna have your title either,
right?
Because I'm taking it, but won't take it from you. And then I like how Leon would try to stand up to him, and Priest would no-sell it the whole match. This had a very.
It's like you're reading my notes.
This had a very 1991 1-2-3 Kid and Razor Ramon style love-hate relationship to this. These two numbskulls, and it's just the irony of Damian Priest being a Scott Hall Razor Ramon mark, using his finishing move now, the Razor's Edge. It just led into this, like a big guy took the little guy under his wing, and he was kind of screwed by him, and he's not, and then they're friends, but they hate each other, but they like each other, that whole up and down of that. So just went back again to go, hey, let's pull up a Scott Hall moment and have you befriend the little guy. And then I also have in my notes, too, is you don't realize how big Damian Priest is until he's standing next to a guy like Leon Ruff or Johnny Gargano.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was 6'8" till a couple weeks ago. And it was just like, oh, my God, this guy's a freaking monster. He is basically Scott Hall.
Yeah, and even Scott Hall never looked like that big until I met him in person because he's always standing next to Kevin Nash. So he's standing next to Nash, and same with Shawn. Shawn was with him for years, and then Hall was with him for years. And you're going, whatever, these guys aren't that big. Look at them. Then you realize, oh, yeah, Kevin Nash is 7'1" or 7 foot or whatever he is. Close enough to 7 foot. At least billed as that. He's billed as 7'6" or something. Right. But close enough. And then you go, oh, this guy over here that's 6'8" doesn't look very tall, but when I stand next to him at 5'6", he's a good foot something on me, over a foot taller than me. So yeah, that's I didn't realize how big he was. But this match, there's a lot to cover because it was, a three-way dance. But it was up and down. Johnny Gargano and Leon could do the fast-moving stuff. You got Damian Priest, who can still perform as an athlete, but could give you those big power moves. So you had a little bit of everything from everybody. And you didn't get too much of that resting on the outside of the ring to roll out, and then you roll in and I'll roll out and take turns. So it's only really a one-on-one match with, rotating guys. Like there's kind of constantly 3 people beating the shit out of each other for a while. So I was liking that.
Right. There was a lot going on at the beginning. If it wasn't Leon Ruff bouncing off Damian Priest, or Damian Priest pushing him out of the way to get to Gargano, it just seemed to be a lot going on until Damian Priest just absolutely just whipped Leon Ruff through the fucking barricade, just smashed, destroyed it. And Leon Ruff had to leave the match momentarily. And that's where this match really drew me in. Because, call me an asshole, whatever. I don't take Leon Ruff seriously. I don't think anyone's supposed to take Leon Ruff seriously. But it got down to Damian Priest and Johnny Gargano. And that's what I wanted to see. And they got a few minutes there to just be on their own and put on a hell of a match until Leon Ruff came back.
What I think really sold it too was go back to when Damian Priest put him through the barricade, the way that he put him through the barricade, and then after he did it, he's selling it. He's like, oh, no. And he's like, I'm sorry. He's yelling at him, I'm sorry. Like, I told you, like, I'm sorry. And so that sold that there can be a little longer of a story between those guys. Now, how good of matches they can put on or how they can work it, maybe they become friends or whatever, but, they can kind of, they leave a path open at least that they could go somewhere with that storyline of him being like, I apologize. What do you want from me? But yes, that gave, I have in my notes the same thing. This gave Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest some time in the ring to show off. And then what it also gave, too, is Leon Ruff that time to come back, get his bearings about him. This kid went from kind of nothing to semi-main eventing this thing.
Yeah, North American champion.
And he came back like a ball of fire. So he got to come back and, he got the spotlight for, his 90 seconds to come in, do some high spots and some dives. And then the match takes a dip just slightly for me. We were working all on highs. We were going high, all high. And then the ghost faces come in.
Yeah, I just switched pages on my notes, and I'm like, what's he talking about, this match taking it? Yeah, precisely. I see what he's talking about. So,
yes.
Before we get into the ghosties, I do want to give Leon Ruff props. In this match, he played his role perfectly. He's a ragdoll who can sell his fucking ass off. And I don't know if that's going to be his permanent role, but in this match, he did it fantastic. He just gets thrown all over the place. He sells like a motherfucker. His physics when he's falling or getting clotheslined or whatever are all perfect, how he folds up and everything. So yeah, Leon Ruff just played his role perfectly. But then
the Ghostface Killer makes his appearance.
Damian Priest is just this close to getting a win, and 3 ghost faces show up and attack him.
And he cleans house on some ghost faces for a minute. Then 3 more show up.
3 more show up.
And I think 3 more show up after that.
So he clears out the original 3, and 3 more show up, and Damian Priest ends up dive bombing the other 3 that are hanging out on the outside of the ring.
And then then he clears them out. He gets back in the ring. He's got Gargano lined up for a finishing move of sorts. I don't remember exactly what he was going for here. And then another ghost face pops up and gives him the worst, the most ginger slap in the back with a pool noodle. I mean, it was a pool noodle, and he still gave him a working shot. And that took Damian Priest down. I mean, he has been through hell in this 3-way match with these 2 guys. And I watched it 6 times. I just kept hitting the 15-second button. Boop, bang, boop, bang. Like, this is miserable. Go back and rewatch it. Stay informed, and you will see it because I will definitely clip this moment and put it in a TikTok, Instagram Reels, and I will highlight this moment. So feel free to watch us on there at the KayFabe Smark on Instagram and TikTok, and I will definitely repost that ginger shot that was given to Damian Priest. And then that changes the trajectory of the whole match.
Yeah, just to make it worse, I originally missed the original shot with the quote unquote lead pipe that they call it. I missed it. I didn't see it, and I just let the match play. They fucking showed a replay, Brian.
Yes, a couple times. They went back and showed a replay. I replayed it, and then they showed replays. I was like, why'd you show replay of that? Like, you should have ignored that and been like,
this lead pipe.
They should have been like, we can't show it.
Lead pipe.
It was bad.
Right.
The commentator
This
should
is
have
the
been like,
worst lead pipe gimmick bullshit. This was worse than the foam hammer from the women's match.
This was bad.
This was literally, you couldn't have said it better, Brian. This was a pool noodle, and he tapped him with the very end of it on the shoulder, out like a light.
Like a light. It's a wrap. And then, Johnny Gargano gets the 1, 2, 3.
He's your new North American champion after he hits the final beat on Leon Ruff.
And then we get exposed to who the Ghostface Killer Army leader is. And it is
none other than Austin Theory.
So here's the so I was texting with Andy while I was watching this. Good friend of the show. We've mentioned a couple times tonight. I think my only friend of the show. No.
Hey, Joey's a good friend of the show too.
Jake listens. Jake texts me while we're watching wrestling. And I said, these Ghostface guys are played out. And he said, they are. And as I'm texting that these Ghostface guys are played out, boom, takes the mask off. It's Austin Theory. It was me all along. Quick internet research. Come to find out, because this all started back at Halloween Havoc between Gargano and Priest.
Right.
It was supposed to just kind of be that one night with this that they had, but I guess Austin Theory was one of the guys with COVID, is what's being said. So they kept the storyline the same, but just didn't have it exposed. Do you know what I'm saying? So like he was supposed to be Austin Theory that night.
Okay.
Like Austin Theory was the masked guy that helped Damian Priest and Candice LeRae. But it was just a guy. They just grabbed one of the guys from the performance center and said, "Hey kid, you get your chance to be on a pay-per-view." I do? Yeah. Do I get to see my face? Not at all. You get to wear a 1992 Scream mask. It'll be really fun. So
a few weeks down the road, we're gonna say you were Austin Theory the entire time.
And then I think they thought he was gonna be cleared faster from this COVID stuff, and so they ran it a couple weeks longer. They ran it through, and here they are finally wrapping it up. So these guys that have been making their appearance, I think it's all a wrap now. It was all Austin Theory. Who the other guys were, we'll never know. They're like the Undertaker's minions of the darkness, or the what do you call those? The druids.
The druids, yes.
They started this. So yes, that was that. Why they chose a Scream mask, I don't know.
Probably what they had laying around the performance center, I guess. But seems like NXT is really toying around with that idea of just having someone else play a character on the show. They did the same thing with McAfee when McAfee couldn't make the show.
Yeah.
They had a guy come out dressed like him with a hood over his face and to do the ring jump. And I just thought it was fantastic. The following week, McAfee blew that spot up. Yeah, it wasn't me.
That wasn't me. Oh shit, I'm supposed to sell that? So yeah, I'm glad that that spot's gonna be over. Those Scream mask Ghostface guys. But so this three-way match started out all 9s and 10s for me, and then died at like a 6 or a 7 because of this Ghostface stuff. But they had to wrap up the storyline. I get it. And then your Timothy Thatcher match started out at 5s and 6s and ended up at 7s or 8s because it kind of drew me in. It just, this match was the only, and it sucks is that it happened at the end. It just left that stink in my mouth. that bad taste in your mouth where you go, balls. They just ended it like this. So now Johnny Gargano is your champion, so that will be good. Because he's a real piece of shit, and he'll make you hate him, and he'll talk you into watching a match. I can guarantee it. You'll want to see somebody beat him up. So look forward to that.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Johnny Gargano fan, but I prefer to have him be a title holder over Leon Ruff. Once again, nothing against Leon Ruff, but he's just not believable as a champion unless you even got to go one step lower than a cruiserweight. You got to go with a featherweight title for that guy.
That, and you just don't know who he is yet. It gave him a spotlight, and we'll see what he can do with it now. What he can do with it and what NXT does with it now. They gave him a moment. He did all right with it for what he was supposed to do. It was great, that paper champion type thing. And we'll see if it continues on for him. Now we move into the main event.
Yes, we've got the men's War Games match. We've got the Undisputed Era versus Team McAfee. And Team McAfee consisting of Pat McAfee himself, Pete Dunne, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch.
Pete Dunne. Now, I don't know if you have kept up on the story of Pete Dunne over the years, but Pete Dunne is looking like $1 million. He has leaned up and toned up. It's like, man, quarantine did him straight. Like, the lockdown, he disappeared for a while. Everybody was up. He comes back. He's looking like $1 million these days. So, hey, I appreciate and can say, take my hat off to him on that because he killed it, man. Looking great. Now we will move on. This match kicks off with Pete Dunne and Kyle start us out.
Yes. Kylo and Pete starting out, and
Kylo.
I don't know if because we're rounding up, we're over 2 hours at this point. I don't know if I'm just kind of zoning out a bit, but with these two guys starting off, I didn't really see anything special. Anything worth taking notes on. It was just a standard match with old Kylo and Petey.
My first note says Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly start us off. Pete looking like $1 million. He's really leaned out. The next note, Oney Lorcan joins us.
I actually have one note before that, and it's just, I know it's his gimmick, and I know you like it, and I know a lot of people like it, but I just can't stand Pete Dunne's finger gimmick.
It's a very UK type thing because Marty Scurll did it too, being from the UK. It's a very UK joint manipulation stuff, and it's very popular through that. So,
I'm not an anatomy expert, but I know you can bite someone's finger off with the same force as biting a carrot. So, just how hard it looks like he wrenches on their fingers. He should be shattering their fingers and ripping their fingers off at every chance. So it just, to me, it's just corny because you're not really trying to break their fingers, or you would break their fingers.
Now, I like Marty Scurll's version of it because when he would get the guys up, he's so cartoonish and character. His face is just so lit up when he does these things. And then when he would do it, that independent wrestling crowd would pop so loud and yell, "You sick fuck," like at the second that he would do it. And that really made me pop for it because it was like you were waiting to scream that because you're like, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. And then he would do it and everybody would go, "You sick fuck." So I always like that.
Just try and help me, Brian. What's the point of it? Is it to dislocate, maybe? Not break, but dislocate? I don't.
Yeah.
Because you can't just go around breaking everybody's fingers or you're not going to have a wrestling promotion anymore.
Or just nobody will be going it. Yeah, because it'll just be Pete Dunne's the winner because everybody's got broken hands.
Bro, yeah. Everybody's on the IR with broken fingers. They can't even drink tea anymore because they can't put their pinky up.
I would give you, like they shouldn't oversell it as the breaking for sure. That it should just be dislocating it or they're trying to take away the grip power. You know what I'm saying? But to sell it as the breaking can be a little much because, you start breaking everybody's fingers off. I'm gonna
Yeah,
break
I don't
you.
know. I
Break
guess
my
I
finger.
spent a little too much time on that, but it just irritated me.
Break my fingers. I'm
Yeah,
gonna break
my
your
next
nose.
note here is Orny Lorcan is back in this boy.
Orny Loken gives McAfee's team the advantage, so the heel team gets the advantage. Eric was looking for that.
Yep, that's what we need. We need the heel team to have a 2-on-1. That way we can cheer for the baby faces.
And again, I have the note in here. I said I like the War Games, but the beginning parts are just slow. There's no fear as the match has not started. There's no fear of a losing or a winning team because officially the match hasn't started till everyone is in the ring. So kind of back to that same thing. We won't dig too deep on that again, but it's just you can kind of take your time with it. So Bobby Fish evens out the Undisputed Era and does his job bringing the momentum back to their side once Bobby Fish comes running in. Again, I don't have many notes from the Oni Lorcan. Like, there was some they're just wrestling at this point. Just watching guys wrestle in just spots in the corners. There's some whatever. It's just so now you got Bobby Fish in there, Pete Dunne. Wait, who you got? Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish, and then Oni Lorcan. So there you go.
Right, nothing noteworthy. It wasn't bad by any means. I was definitely watching the match, but again, just nothing noteworthy. Nothing's on the line. These guys aren't doing anything ridiculous at this point. We saved the ridiculousness for Danny Burch's entrance.
Now, Danny Burch comes in, and he grabs his bag of gimmicks.
I had bag of gimmicks written down.
He's got an orange bag. It looked like a camping chair could have been in there. And he reaches in, and what does he pull out? And good thing Wade Barrett's on commentary because it was a cricket bat. And Wade Barrett let you know that cricket
made out
bats,
of the flimsiest foam I've ever seen.
But Wade Barrett let you know that cricket bats are heavier and denser than baseball bats, Eric.
Oh, are they?
Wade
Is that
Barrett
why
said
when
so.
he drops it, it basically floats to the ground like a feather?
The only thing that came out of this for me is the one reference that the commentators threw out. When Danny Burch, who do you waffle here? Danny Burch, I forget who he hit now. He waffled somebody. It was either Bobby Fish or Kyle O. And then he goes, and Danny Burch pulling out his Casey Jones.
Yes, I like the Ninja Turtles reference there.
And if you haven't watched the Ninja Turtles from the 1990s, go back and look it up. There's a spot where they meet Casey Jones, and he pulls out his cricket bat, and Raphael says, "Cricket? You can't play cricket unless you know what a crumpet is." And then he hits that stupid turtle into a garbage can, and it's amazing.
Oh, boy, people think I'm full of useless knowledge. I think you got me beat on that one. Quoting Raphael lines from 1987.
Yes. Casey Jones is in this house. All right, here we go. And then bop. I thought they did a good job too on releasing the guys out of their shark tanks in proper orders that made sense for them to fight. Kyle O and O'Reilly and Pete Dunne started off. Now, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, been a tag team obviously for years.
Right.
They're kind of separating into the singles era now, in the singles world. They're kind of back and forth. They're flirting with it, if you will. And then Pete Dunne being the singles guy, that worked out. Boom, your next guy into the ring is Oni Lorcan, and then Bobby Fish, and then Danny Burch. Now you've got the tag teams in there. You know what I'm saying? You put the two tag teams have battled. You're getting the singles guys in there. Then they save Pat McAfee and Adam Cole for the end. I thought it was just put together well. It wasn't very random. It wasn't like the tag teams didn't match up. You know what I'm saying? It was just they put the guys in there that had beef with each other at the right times.
I was under the impression that they were making decisions on the fly. How I got to that point was in the women's match. Once Raquel Gonzalez was in the ring, the babyface girl to come out was Rhea Ripley, and the announcers made it a point to say, Well, they had to choose Rhea Ripley next because Raquel Gonzalez is already in the ring.
Right.
So they're selling it as they're making the decision on the fly. I originally thought before that it was set up almost like an elimination chamber.
Oh, there
to
is.
Where either they were in different before the show started, obviously, that they would either be in different Shark Tanks or there was a set order that they had to come out in.
Yes, they were just released. They just did a good job planning that out with good timing on releasing the guys. And then you get now we've worked all the way down. Again, nothing in this is bad. Because I'm not speaking of everything during the match, don't take it as I'm speaking of a bad match. Just a lot going on, but nothing where it was like, oh my God, that thing they did. It was wrestling. There was nothing that you haven't seen from, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly and Danny Burch and whoever else, Pete Dunne and all the other guys. So I'm not saying it's a bad match. It's just there's so much to talk about, and we'll just move on kind of to where things kind of spice up here as you get Pat McAfee coming down to the ring now. He goes for the gimmicks.
You skipped Roderick Strong.
Oh, Roderick Strong came in.
And that was a throwback to the women's match because when Roderick enters, he immediately gets ambushed. And just to keep the advantage on the other side, So I thought that was kind of I didn't know if it was cool or just recycling shit from a previous match, but it was just like, oh, this seems very familiar.
Yeah, you just like even if it's recycled in the same match or in the same show, you don't mind when heels are heels.
Right, that's true.
I'm always fine with that. And then is this now we're down to now we just have in the Shark Tank Pat McAfee, Adam Cole. Right?
And I do want to give props one more time before we get McAfee and Cole into the ring, that when Roderick Strong finally got into the ring and he made the comeback for Undisputed Era, Team McAfee, minus McAfee, obviously, were doing such a good job of feeding that comeback. Roderick Strong was just on fire, and anytime he turned around and needed someone else to hit, pop, somebody else was there. So they're hitting the ground and popping up and getting in the right spot just to keep that comeback flowing. And it really we didn't take a ton of notes at this point on this match, but it really brought the excitement up, this comeback from Roderick Strong.
Very much. It was a good, you got to love the good comeback. Because without a good comeback, it's just all one-sided. Then it feels like an NWO match from 1997 where you're going, well, this is just an ass-kicking, and then we'll move on to do something else later. Pat McAfee comes out. He gets released. And now it's, he goes down. He starts grabbing out the gimmicks. And he gets out some tables. And
I had to keep changing the numbers on my notes here. I first wrote McAfee enters the arena or gets out of his shark cage and he grabs a table. And then I did backspace. He grabs 2 tables. Backspace. He grabs 3 tables. At this point, I'm just waiting for the number. I'm like, how many is he going to grab? I'm not writing a new number.
After I saw that there was the names on them, like he pulls it out with the Undisputed Era logo on it, and it was like, this one says it says O'Reilly, then Fish, Roderick, and then it was, you knew Adam Cole was going to get one, so there you go. All right,
fine, you bastard. You knew there was going to be 4 tables.
I had a pretty good guess that everybody was going to get one, especially Adam Cole had to have one, right? Especially had to be the bottom as well. Pat got to get in the ring at a pretty good spot they had set up for him because the Undisputed Era was down and out at this point by the time Pat kind of comes in.
Right, thanks to Roderick Strong and his comeback.
So so he gets to kind of come in and this is only his second match. Let's keep that in mind. That this is only Pat McAfee's second time ever being in the ring on TV.
Right.
So he gets to come in and he kind of gets his feet wet for a little bit by just like dancing around, gets involved in some little things here and there. He does the moonsault. He's kind of showing off his athletic ability. And then that's when Adam Cole gets released. And now the match kind of picks up and goes bananas a little bit.
Oh, yeah, and it starts off with a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, he goes. Adam Cole goes right under there and finds the fire extinguisher, and he puts out the fire that they're having in the ring there. And then what happened next here? Where we at? Where are you at on your notes, Eric? I think mine got a little disarrayed.
Well, I've got Adam Cole entering the ring, spraying everybody with a fire extinguisher to kind of slow him down a bit, and then just starts cleaning house. And you got McAfee while Adam Cole's just over there whipping everybody's ass. Pat McAfee's just chilling in the other ring, just kind of observing and waiting for his chance.
The thing that I can give Pat McAfee is I don't know if he's knows what to do in a natural sense. If he's told what to do and listens, I'm not sure which way it goes. So either way, he wins and gets the credit for either listening or knowing what to do. But he's not getting involved where he doesn't need to be involved. And by saying that, like, he's not supposed to be. He's not a super trained wrestler yet, whether what he's going to be or not. So he needs to, A, stay safe, B, keep the other guys safe, and not look silly so he doesn't blow up his spot. So him not getting in the ring, people would be like, well, he didn't get involved. He doesn't look like a wrestler. No, he looks like a great heel wrestler. It's like, well, I'm not going over there. They're beating each other up. That's stupid. I'm trying to win this thing, not get into a fight.
Yeah, precisely. Even though the real reasoning behind it may be just kind of stay out of the way while all this chaos is going on so nothing gets fucked up. You can play it off as McAfee's a team leader and he's a cocky son of a bitch and he's paying good money to these guys. He's not going to get his hands dirty. You guys go over there and do the dirty work.
Yeah, it's like
I'm chilling.
A $1 million man feel, right? When he had his $1 million posse and he sent all the guys out there to do his dirty work. So I was liking that. And then how did you feel about the Pat McAfee spot off the top?
Oh, let's see. We're skipping up.
Did I skip a little bit? Okay, we can continue on. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, just more team gelling here. I really liked when Team McAfee completely walled off the other ring.
Yes.
So that Pat McAfee could get that figure 4 on Adam Cole there.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just thought that looked fantastic. You got you're the two guys you came to see here. Now, granted, the rest of them are great, but we came to see McAfee and Adam Cole, and you get them isolated in a ring by themselves. You get McAfee putting on a classic move, complete with the woos, and you got his team just completely walling off the other side so that none of Undisputed Era can get in there. And I thought that just played out fantastic.
You're right. I forgot about that moment. I don't know why I didn't write that down. I kind of got drawn in at a few points here, just watching this thing. And but I did like that. It was a cool look, too. Them trying to fight to get their guy, these guys trying to keep him out, and then Pat McAfee just locking him up. Makes him look like $1 million.
Yeah, and Adam Cole ends up reversing it, and Pete Dunne ends up saving McAfee's ass on that one. And and then next comes the table spot, Brian.
Oh,
did you take notes on this?
Yes. Continue on. I did.
Yeah, so Undisputed Era ends up slamming Pete. They get Pete Dunne on the top rope. You got Danny Burch laying on one of the mini tables that Pat McAfee brought in, and they powerbomb Pete Dunne onto Danny Burch onto the table, and the table just says, "Nope, not today, fellas."
You have no give. I just have in my notes here, it says those tables were stiff.
Yeah. That spot looked brutal, man. Poor Danny Burch had to take that entire.
And then, which guy from the Undisputed Era, I don't remember off the top of my head, did a splash onto him to put him through the table.
I want to say it was Bobby Fish.
That's what I wanted to say. Either way,
sure.
Bobby Fish or O'Reilly. Yeah, man, that table, it still didn't really want to go. I don't know where they got them tables from.
And then, holy smokes, we got next on the list. It's been a few days since I watched this here. So we get another table spot right after that.
Yeah, Pat.
you got Pat McAfee attempting a superplex on Adam Cole, and this is another thing that just looked absolutely fantastic for being a rookie and a celebrity rookie. Pat McAfee is doing fantastic. Adam Cole shoves McAfee off of the turnbuckle, and he just flat backs it right through another table, and that just looked super clean, impressive. It looks like he went about 3/4 across the ring.
It was far. It was far. He looked like a crash test dummy flying through the air. Like he just kind of stiffened up and got long and just went with it. But like, I mean, I don't know if I'd let somebody throw me through a table. Like I want to say that I would, but you probably panic at the last minute. He just went, nope, here we go. I just said Pat's table spot was good, ! Very well committed. Like, go through a table? Cool, sounds good. All right, I trust you. Throw me.
Yeah, McAfee's fearless in there, man. He likes taking bumps.
He does. And then I think the next high spot was the Pat's dive off of the top. Some stuff in between, wasn't there? But nothing big.
Yeah, there's a little bit in between. I'm not sure exactly how we get to this point, but this is where Undisputed Era just really turns it up. They've got everybody except Pat McAfee wedged between the ring ropes and the fence, the cage, and Undisputed Era just takes turns, one after the other, dive bombing them, elbowing them, drop kicking them, enziguring them, and they really just light up Team McAfee. But at that point, it gets you scratching your chin and wondering, where's Pat? Like, we understand he just went through a table, but he's not knocked out. He's not Earl Hebner. He's got to be around here somewhere. And where was Pat, Brian?
He was on top of the cage.
At least he didn't have a garbage can.
Didn't have a garbage can. And then he looked up, looked out, screamed, and swanton bomb flipped right into everybody. Now, it was a catch me spot. No question. I've talked enough shit about catch me spots. But for a guy's second match to climb up to the top of a cage and jump into, 6 other guys, it's pretty impressive. I'm not a big fan of the catch me spots, discussed it many a times, but, again, I can give Pat McAfee credit for going all out on it. It was definitely a highlight of the pay-per-view that has kind of gone viral in its own sense. Former football kicker Pat McAfee in wrestling diving off cages, like, you're seeing it kind of do the rounds of its clips on social media and such. So, hey, they got what they wanted out of it.
And in an effort to not completely sound like a moron here, I missed a lot of stuff in between that. I guess it wasn't the
it wasn't
just
as quick.
The McAfee getting beat up against the fence. That's not where the Pat McAfee spot came in. In between that, McAfee ends up getting surrounded by the entire Undisputed Era, and they just all beat the shit out of him.
Oh, yeah.
And then McAfee's squad saves him from getting finished off by the entire Undisputed Era. And then there's a whole spot where everybody's on the top ropes.
I forgot about that one. I didn't take that note down. I brain farted on that one.
And Adam Cole ends up giving a neck breaker to Pete Dunne off the top rope, and Roderick Strong superplexes Pat McAfee. So, yeah. And then both teams just clam up. This is where it comes in. All right. So after all the neck breakers and superplexes and top rope spots, this is where everybody, except for Pat McAfee, decides to clam up in the middle of a ring and just start punching each other and wailing. And it's just one of those, almost like a cartoon where you would see the dust cloud because everyone's just brawling in the middle there. And then that's where McAfee comes down with his swanton. So, yeah, excuse my skip through the notes there, but
well, I didn't do any better because I just didn't write some down. I just started watching wrestling at some point and just forgot that I had to talk about it later and kind of note what happened. But nonetheless, we got it all figured out. I was still impressed about him taking that dive.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it was a catch me spot, and it was obvious once you seen everybody scuffling in the middle of the ring. But they made do the best they could.
But you also got to trust the guys that are going to catch you. And if you've never done it before, like Kyle O'Reilly's probably jumped off and had people catch him from every gymnasium and independent show he's done through New Japan to, now here in NXT. Okay, cool. I'll jump off that. You guys will catch me. Okay, cool. Pat McAfee's like, so you guys, you just stand there and I'm going to jump on you. That's what we're going to do here. So you guys are cool with that? or yeah. Just try not to hit me directly with your foot. We'll be all right. Cool, good friends. You got to trust those guys. They're going to catch you. Otherwise, it's going to hurt. You probably won't die. I mean, he's only jumping, 10 feet, but he can get fucked up.
Right. So yeah, that just takes me back to what I said a couple minutes ago. McAfee, man, just fearless, just getting in there, doing every high spot, every dive bomb they give him.
Committed to the biz. And then,
Miedo.
That's it. And then where do we go? Then from here, we're getting close to the end, Eric. Lead us through the end.
We are getting close. Adam Cole ends up hitting the Panama Sunrise clean on Pat McAfee.
That he does.
Right after McAfee was trying to mock him and do it himself.
Yes.
So Adam Cole, at this point, I think it's over. Adam Cole's going to beat him with the Panama Sunrise. 1, 2, 3. McAfee kicks out, Brian. It's a false finish.
False finish? You got to be kidding me.
And Pete Dunne, this was nasty. Just ends up, I can't remember what move it was, but he dropped Adam Cole's ribs right across the top of a chair that was set up in the ring.
Oh, yeah, that was wicked.
That was pretty brutal. And me with my recent rib injury myself, just from my stupid son coup de grace on me from 3 inches. I felt for Adam Cole on that one. And but Kylo ends up doing the knee. So Horny Lorcan ends up getting his face somehow, some way, ends up getting his face wedged between a chair and the ring. And that's where Kylo comes in with his knee drop right onto Lorcan's face. And 1, 2, 3, it's a wrap. Undisputed Era wins the War Games.
That knee drop onto the chair, through the chair and the face and everything, that was, looked pretty rough.
Yeah, there was a lot of spots in this match where I was just like, ooh.
Yeah,
even though you guys are all playing along with each other and working with each other, this shit looks rough.
I think they went for it on a few things. Hey, man, I don't really know how to fake. I'm going to put a chair on your face, and I'm going to jump into it, but I won't do it, all the way. But I, have to do it. So it's going to hurt a little bit, but, it's cool. I owe you an extra shot tonight at the bar. I don't know, what they do. But, yeah. All in all, I thought the War Games was pretty good.
I was pleasantly surprised by this War Games.
I'll be honest with you. I wasn't 100% excited going into it to watch it. There was nothing in it that I was super geeked about. But all in all, very impressed. The ladies' War Games match was actually pretty good. The guys was great. The only thing that sucked, I think, in this whole thing was that Dexter Loomis nonsense. That was the only thing that I thought was the super drizzling shits. There were some spots that had low spots, and then they worked high. There were some parts where they started high in the match and then kind of ended low. But, it all evens out at the end of the day. So, all in all, NXT's War Games, I'd say pop it in, watch it, go on your WWE Network, and check it out if you haven't. And then if you haven't already, we just spoiled the shit for you, so I'm sorry about all that. But it's almost been a week, damn it.
Just the 2 low points of this show were, I don't know if it was the gimmicky weapons. Or Ghostface.
Ooh. I'm sorry. You know what? I hated Ghostface so much, I forgot about it again. The Ghostface sucked. I think if it would have just been Austin Theory's one Ghostface, but we had
to have 65 of them.
We had to have the Ghostface army. I didn't care for the Ghostface Killer army. Army of Pharaohs coming out there. So, well, with that, I think wraps us up. We've been chatting about NXT about as long as the pay-per-view was here. So we're going to go ahead and pop off here and check us out every week, every Friday. These drop hot in your podcast of choice, iTunes, Spotify. Go ahead and make sure you subscribe if you want to rate and review. That always helps your boys out. It also comes out live on YouTube on Thursday night, somewhere between 9 and 9:30. We get on there and just record it live, so feel free to pop in and hang out with us. And we chatted up about wrestling, and then they go live on YouTube right after that, so feel free to subscribe on YouTube, like and leave a comment, and hit the notification bell, and all that stuff that YouTubers tell you to do. You know, they do this move here, hit the notification bell. Make sure to comment. Make sure to subscribe. Link in the description below. And then you can do all that. So hang out there. Instagram. Go over there. The KayFabe Smark. Like and share and be a part and comment on our reels and our posts. And there you go, man. Just be a part of it. And then hop on Facebook and get in the group and like our page. Facebook. The KayFabe Smark on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And there you go. And subscribe to... Well, not subscribe, but subscribe to us on YouTube, and then go over to audibletrial.com/thekayfabesmark and get your free audiobook, free 30-day trial, man. There you go. Eric, what you got?
And just to let you guys know, there's no pay-per-views or anything coming up this week, so we will be back to normal. Our meat and potatoes will mainly be AEW, and with all this stuff going on between Impact and AEW, we will be the first to tell you if Tessa Blanchard ends up coming over to AEW to beat Brian Cage clean once again. And
he did it.
Than that,
he got it in a spot where Brian Cage and Tessa Blanchard was not even involved. That son of a bitch.
And we'll let you know. We'll be the first to report. But other than that, you can catch me on my own Instagram. Brian tags me in a lot of the KayFabe Smark posts. My name over on Instagram is it's Eric. And I think there's only one more thing I got to say, Brian.
What's that, Eric? What do you have to say?
Hooty hoo, we out the gates.